In this video, we're going to discover the one skill that you need to learn in order to heal. So what is the number one skill that you need to learn in order to start healing? You may be surprised to learn that that skill is forgiveness. Now you're probably thinking, wait, forgiveness isn't a skill. You can either forgive somebody or you don't forgive somebody. While that's partially true, you do have to learn how to hone the skill so that you can forgive somebody when you really don't feel like forgiving them. Psychologists define forgiveness as the decision to let go. And this is often done whether or not you believe the person who has harmed you deserves your forgiveness. Now, when you don't forgive somebody, what happens is that you start to hold a grudge. You hold on to all of these feelings and emotions and the pain from that person betraying you or hurting you, you hold them inside of yourself and you hold that grudge. And all that grudge is going to do is start to fester and start to poison you mentally and physically. There's an old saying that says holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. And it's been scientifically proven that when you hold a grudge, it causes stress. And when that stress is in your body for a prolonged period of time, it actually causes physical ailments, which also include anxiety and depression. So you see, choosing not to forgive somebody and holding that grudge is actually harming you much more than you think. And it could possibly be the number one reason why you suffer from anxiety and depression. So now you may be wondering, how exactly do I forgive someone, especially when I don't feel like forgiving them? Well, I've learned personally there are about 4 steps that I take in order to forgive somebody. The very first step is to recognize the problem. Because sometimes we feel emotions and pain but don't really understand where they're coming from. So if you self-reflect and look at the situation, you can figure out what your problem is and exactly where the hurt lies and why you're feeling those emotions. This is often the easiest step and it comes automatically, but sometimes you have to work for it a little bit. The second step can be very difficult. This step is where you empathize with the other person, the person who has harmed you. Especially in situations like mine, where my father sexually molested me when I was a child. It takes a lot to be able to empathize with their side of the story. But for me, I've always been a very forgiving soul, so it didn't really take a lot of time for me to be able to see his side of it. His side is that he's suffering from an illness. And when he asked me for forgiveness, he was actively trying to heal and be a better person. So I was able to forgive him. Because once somebody asks me for their forgiveness and they seem sincere, I will give them the forgiveness that they're asking for. It's always been a special skill of mine to be able to do that. And I understand that not everybody is like that, which is why it's important to hone this skill. Now, it could also be something as simple as you got your coffee order wrong in the morning. It doesn't mean that the barista sought out to harm you in that way. They did it on purpose. It's possible that they had a busy morning, that they're having a bad day, that maybe they've never made that drink like that before and weren't sure how to do it. So that's a way that you can look at the other side and empathize with that person and say, well, maybe that person didn't mean to harm me in the way I was harmed. The third step can be the longest step. And that step is to grieve what you have lost. So in the sense of the coffee order, you lost a good cup of coffee that morning. It's not going to take most people very long to go, oh, well, it's fine. It's just coffee. I'll get another cup tomorrow morning and maybe that'll be better. But your grief could also take a very long time. Like for me, I had to grieve the loss of my innocence and the loss of a childhood that I will never have. And also the loss of a father that I would never have. I'm still in that grieving process 5 years after he admitted to me what he did. So it's okay if your grief takes longer than you think that it should take, because some people take a little bit longer. Now, a caveat here is that you should not wallow in your grief. Don't sit in that grief just to sit in it. Sit in it to feel the loss and to grieve exactly what you've lost, but don't wallow in it and never move from it. Use it to heal and to grow, but don't sit in it and cause that to have your depression deepen because of it. And now the final step is to let go. And sometimes this step happens without even knowing it. One day you'll just think about the situation and realize, I don't feel anger anymore. I don't feel that pain anymore. When I think about that, it's just gone. And other times we have to make the conscious decision to just let it go. Breathe in really deep, and then breathe out, and then just let it go. Just let it go. This forgiveness skill will probably be the hardest thing that you've ever had to learn how to do. Because it's natural to look at somebody who's harmed us and tell yourself, that person harmed me, they deserve the same that they gave to me. It's natural to feel that way. It's natural to think that way. So learning how to forgive someone without... That's my dog, so I hope you enjoy hearing the scratches every now and then. So learning how to forgive yourself and forgiving others is hard to do, but it's worth it, because on the other side of that forgiveness is peace. On the other side of that forgiveness is wholeness, and being able to feel like there is a good reason to stick around, that there is a good reason to continue living, because now you feel whole. And I feel like that's something worth striving for. Now, as always, you can contact me on my Facebook page. You can contact me on the contact page on my website, which is thebutterfliesproject.com. If you have any comments or anything that you need to talk about, I'm here. And always remember that you're not alone, and I appreciate you. See you next week.